Hey everyone, it's JP here with Meats Fab and Customs again. We're just slugging away here on this Model A here that I've taken on here. So just keep making progress on it. We've got a bunch of floor here, kind of put in here. I went through one of the last videos on how to make a floor pan, make pieces on it and everything. So just sort of been doing the same things, slugging away at it. So where I'm at now on here is this doorpost. And this doorpost actually still has the wood in it. Most of the time the wood's rotted out of here, dry rot, stuff like that. So back in these days, a lot of these cars had carriage makers and stuff involved in them. Chevys really had carriage makers involved in them because most of the Chevs are just, it's a wood frame with just tin stamped put over top of them. They used to do it with the old carriages, whereas Ford discovered, hey, let's stamp these out of metal, make the production line quicker, make things better. But as a hot rodder, we need to get that out of there. But it's also structure. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make steel to go in here. And then what I'm thinking is cutting this out, it's got this angle. But if you look here, we have nails that go into the wood. So someone's already pulled these ones out, but right here you can see the little nails. They're like little tacks that go into the wood here to hold this. So what's going to end up happening, I'm going to drill these out a bit, and then I'm going to plug weld them to hold this outer skin onto this inner here. And then I'm going to make pieces here. I think I'm going to end up making this out of 3 pieces. That to hold this line, and then put a cap over top of it to hold it. However, right here, I'm not going to get into yet. Reason being, I'm going to get into this after I chop it. So when I chop the roof off, and then I'll pull this out of here. And then what I'll do, so you're going to chop, say 5 inches or whatever out of here. When you take that out, the piece that goes in here will be all one piece. So it'll help with the structure when you bring this all back together. Whereas if I do it now, you're going to cut it, and then you're just going to end up butt welding here. Actually, you'll spend a butt welding here because you can't even weld in here because it'll be covered. So that's what I'm going to do in here is once I chop this, then I'll pull this wood out of here. But right now I need to do this one so I can get this piece here welded into there, which then is going to structure all this. So it'll end up being welded there to that cross brace, there to that back cross brace, and this panel here will be welded into here, and then weld it to the floor subframe that we did earlier. So that's going to structure all this up. So then when you start cutting for your rear axle, your rear diff there, because you're going to have to cut out here quite a ways. Well, you end up, actually I've got it marked already. Here, you're going to end up cutting out to here for your rear diff. So that's going to take structure out of there, but that structure is going to be put back in with that piece you have inside there. So that's where we're at right now. So I can start sort of welding things in here and getting stuff all all tacked together, welded in, so this chassis can all hold. And then I'm hoping here, as we got the opening here for the trans right there, and then I just got to cut the opening up here in the firewall there, which has roughly been marked out. So I got to cut this out and then slide this engine in. Then we can start playing with floor pans and everything more. And working on the hump and that to get the motor and trans in. And humps are always fun to do. There's always something on a car that isn't fun, and I do not have fun with doing those, but it's got to be done. So that's sort of where we're at right now. So got to get that post done so we can start tacking that together and then get this cut out so this here can all be done and get a motor and trans in here again, and we can see where everything sits, and then move on with the hump for the floor. So here we go, let's get this going. Okay, so this piece here is coming out. There's a couple screws in here, they're broke already. There's screws that come in this way that actually go in before the body panel on the outer skin on the outside. So you might have to pry a little bit on it depending on what kind of wood you have and all that. So just sort of get in there and just kind of work it, and it'll come out. Then it's got to be a little forceful. Once you get it moving, it'll she'll go, there we go. Kind of, there we go. So there's the piece right there. And like I said, they don't make wood like they used to. This is nice wood, very nice wood actually. And the wood in this car is still in really good shape. This car's from Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's very dry, very dry. I never realized it until I bought a station wagon back in the spring. And this thing, it's a '73, and this thing's in great shape, and it's dry. And I never realized it till I got that car. So don't be up this way poaching our vehicles now that you know that. Yeah, so now that that's out, I'll probably use this as a template for the side pieces, and then just cap it off with steel here is probably what I'll end up doing, make life easy. Because once you cap this off, it'll be just as strong. Here's another thing on this wood, and I heard heard a rumor on the internet or whatever, and we all know the internet never lies. As I'm doing an internet video, but someone in the comments can maybe set this straight. But I heard back in the day, Ford, the scraps from this wood they used to use to heat their plant. I don't know whether it's a rumor, I don't know what it is, but that's what I heard. All the scraps they used back in the day, they used it to heat the plant. And because this is actually really nice hardwood, so it probably heats beautifully. But yeah, if someone can in the comments let me know whether that's a rumor, whether it's true, false, I don't know. Like I said, we all know how the internet is and how the rumors are. So yeah, if you can let me know, that would be magnificent. And history is always great to learn. These cars have a ton of history in them. And I actually find these cars pretty amazing that back in, 1930, 31, that their technology was this far advanced to build this. Like, it's freaking crazy. Blows me away. But yeah, if anyone knows on that, just post in the comments, because I've always wondered that. So we'll make some templates here and get this in. So anyone that's followed along here, so anyone who's followed along with this build that I'm doing right now has seen that I make a ton of templates. Ton of them. I'm going to template this as well. I save all my templates. So, it's here, little box right here, right here. That's all templates for different things. So, the templates in this box, to be honest with you, there's ones in here that my father made way back when that are I still use them. May not use them. Who knows? And actually I had a gentleman the other day, he was looking for the old Hearst motor mounts that, back in the day, they were everywhere. You could find them anywhere. You got harder and harder to find. Guess what? There's a template for it, right there. It's been floating around. Actually, honestly, I think my father made this, and probably 30 years ago, if not longer. Still here, still around, still be used. And so, if he couldn't find one, I got the template there for it. So, all these templates, I save them all. So, for instance, I'm going to template this piece of wood right here. Reason being, a lot of Model A's, this wood is rotted out of it. It's gone. So, if I have a template, I can make it for any Model A I have. Or better yet, if your buddy gets a Model A, doesn't have the wood in it. Here's my template, go ahead and make it. So, make templates, save the things, especially if you come across these old cars with good wood, because roof bows, chances of finding a car with a good set of roof bows, tough. The kits for those things anymore is through the roof, because wood's made of gold now. I don't know what's up with the pricing. So all this stuff, if you're going to use it again, just template it, throw it in a box. You may never use it again. Your kids may use it when you're long gone. Who knows? But it's there. And this stuff's getting harder and harder to find. So, like I said, that box of templates, I have everything from suspension stuff, S10 stuff, Model A stuff. I think there's Grand National stuff in there. There's square body stuff. There's all sorts of stuff in there. There's even demolition derby car stuff in there for motor mounts. So, just make templates, save them. May never use them, but it doesn't take any time. So that's just a little free advice, a little free advice I have, and it saves my ass a lot. So yeah, I'm just gonna template this, and then we'll cut these out of some of those scrap pieces of 18 gauge that I cut off, and we'll make a new, make some new door jambs in there. Now we just transfer it over to this piece 18 gauge. So this is a piece I cut off at one time off of something. I got a pile over there. Just save all your pieces, because this is where you're going to use them. Let me just trace this out. I test fitted this piece template here. You make templates. I actually got this piece. Where did I get this piece? I forget. But I got a roll of it. I believe I got it off a pallet. And that. So it's a little thicker than paper and a little less thick than beer cases and soda cases and all that stuff like I like to use. So it, you know, it gets the job done. The other thing after you make a template, write on it what it's for. Nothing sucks worse than when you know you have a template, but or you got a template in your little box of templates like you're gonna get, and you don't know what the hell it's for. So once you get this all traced out, then I'll just I'll grab my shears, my electric shears, and cut that all out. And I need 4 of those in total. So I'm gonna use up a bunch of this odds and ends here I have in my scrap pile. This piece all cut out here. All I'm doing right now, I'm gonna have to do the other side as well. So right now all I'm doing is I'm gonna test fit this in here and make sure it all fits. I've got a countersunk screw hole here, make sure it goes around there. Make sure it fits nice, and it's a little bit big, but I can grind that later on once I sort of clamp all this, and then just take your flap wheel and just level it all out nice there. So that's one side there. There'll be another side that's going to go over here, and then this will all be capped. Before I do all that, if you look here, this piece is like flexible, very flexible. So what I'm going to do is I'll run a bead. I'll get the bead roller out, and I'll run a bead along here and along here. And this is a good place to practice your bead roll if you haven't done it before, because it's hidden. All we're doing is we're going to strengthen that piece up. So older vehicles, they never really did that. Actually, they didn't do it at all, to be honest with you. They'd just add, you know, weld a piece in there, add a piece there, stuff like that. Whereas nowadays we add beads and stuff like that to make it stronger. So that's what I'm doing here. So that now will strengthen this piece up. So it's not a piece of flat 18 gauge or 16 gauge now. It's got a bead in it, so it strengthens it. Which then, when you do both sides, it's going to strengthen this pillar all up, which you want, especially because it's structural and you're closing the door and everything. And so between this being strengthened up, this piece here that we're welding in here now, strengthening it up, and this new subframe we put in, it's going to be stronger than this car ever was. And that also strengthens up in your frame and everything, because now you've made the car with bolting this body right down to the frame with no rubber mount. Makes this car now becomes a unibody. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to bead roll these pieces. And yeah, and then just keep building away piece at a time. So I got this all well, I beaded up. I got the bead all put down it. So if you look here, it's solid. Before, you could pretty much fold that in half if you wanted to or whatever. So just that single bead right down the middle right there. That's all it takes. So you make this a stiff piece now. Like I said, doing stuff like this, because it's hidden. So when you do stuff like this is a good place to practice your lines and everything for when you do stuff that you can see. So if you're just getting into bead rolling and that, practice on this stuff. It's hidden in behind. You're never going to see it again, but you can practice on your lines. So now when you do a floor pan or whatever, something that you can see, you know, you're a master at it or you're better at it. You know how to, you know, do your curves and everything. So that's just by practice, that's how you get good at it. But like one bead, that stiffened that right up. So now when you put that in, you put the other one with the bead and everything, this piece here becomes a solid piece. It'll end up just as solid as the wood. So you'll be fine. And you won't have to worry about that door frame moving at all. So let's get this thing, I gotta cut another one out and do the same thing. Then we'll have to start capping this up. Okay, so I got the pieces here. So I got the pieces made, and they're sitting actually, and I got them roughly clamped in here. Now, what I want to do is grind this, but I'm actually not really grinding it, I'm sanding it. What I use when I'm doing stuff like this, because you're just taking the paint off, because eventually you got to open these holes up and weld this together to this. Because what you've done, these are all tacked, you can see in here, all tacked into the wood. And we pulled those out because we pulled the wood out. So now you're gonna wanna clean all this. So what I use are these discs here for just taking the paint off. Instead of using like a grinding disc and that, like a flap wheel or something, because that takes metal away. These don't really take the metal away, they just take the paint off. And that's all you wanna do, you wanna clean this up. And once we clean this up, we're gonna poke those holes open. We're gonna drill them out to an 1/8. And then we get right here, little clecos. So these come from the aviation world is where these come from, and they're pretty handy. So they just, if you look there, and it closes them up, and then you put them in the hole, and open them back up, and it holds your panels together, is what it does. So once we get this all cleaned up, then I'll put those in a few spots to hold the inside panel while we weld the piece in. If you don't have clecos, and that, don't worry, you can just use a self-tapping screw to hold all that together. Just go in there with the self-tapper, you know, every so many holes to hold that all together. And, you know, that'll work as well. Personally, I don't like to use them that much because it seems to tear the metal up and everything. But if you're in a bind, it'll work. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're just gonna clean this spot here all up and go from there. So we got this all clecoed, I got this here all cleaned up, so when I'm done, I'm gonna open just this panel's hole up, and then I'll end up butt welding, or not butt welding, give us like a little spot weld in there to hold this panel to this panel. And then in here, put a cleco in here, I can fill that hole later, but chances are I'm gonna end up drilling these out as well, so I can put just a nice little spot weld in there as well. So button weld. So this side here is all done. It's all clecoed up, so it's all ready to be welded and fab. I gotta do the other side to hold it all together, and then we'll start making the cover piece for in here to hold everything. We got that all clecoed in, just like that. So then I measured in here, about 1 3/8, and I measured up to this point here, right there, because eventually what's gonna happen is your door strikers are gonna go in here. You're gonna run your bear claws and they're all gonna go in here, so there's no sense of really getting into filling that all up, because there's gonna be a striker piece that's gonna come around, and that's so you can adjust it. So actually in here, your striker will come out here, so you're gonna end up with I think it's 3/16 or 1/4 inches going in here, which will weld in there so you can adjust it and everything. So I measured in here, this here's the piece it's gonna fill. Just like that, and be welded in there. But before I do that, what I'm gonna do, and I made it a little bit wider to do this, I'm gonna run a bead down the middle of this thing, just like I did with the other pieces, so it's strengthened up just that little bit more in there, so it gets rid of, you know, I can flex this with 2 fingers. Once you put the bead in there, you won't be able to flex it. And that, so now you've strengthened it up, and here are the bead, and here are the bead. So it's gonna be strong. You know, it'll never move around on you. So just gonna bead that up now, and then tack that in, and I'll pull that piece out and weld it all up pretty. And then here, while I have it out, I'll drill holes in here. so I can spot weld this, because I'm going to end up spot welding it there. And we'll be able to spot weld it all the way down here. So you've doubled all this. You've doubled all this up is more or less what you've done, but you made it stronger with these beads and everything, and the beads on the outside. So you made it the same strength as this wood pretty much is. If you look, I've already started to open these holes up here where I'm going to spot weld that. And make nice plug welds in there. So you open that up. And I actually used a step bit to do that. So you're down to the other panel. And it's all nice clean, so you'll be able to just do that all really nice. Like you could get a spot weld bit to do that, but it's going to mangle all the way out to here, which then in the end you won't be able to make that look pretty. So here we go. Let's get that beaded up. We'll get this all tacked in. Yeah, there we go. We got it all tacked in there. That's it. I ran the bead down here. And it's all nicely tacked. So what's going to happen now, I'm going to pull this out. Pull the clecos. The clamps, I'll pull this out and I'll finish welding it. And then put it all back in. And like I said, so I'll end up welding here. Here. And you can see where I roughly put marks already. And run a button weld there. And there, which will hold all this in. Actually, I'm going to run another one right in up here. And then that'll hold all this in. So now this all becomes a solid piece of channel in here. So the biggest reason why I put these pieces inside, because you look at it and think, well, why didn't you just put a channel here? Because this actually strengthened it up a little bit more yet, because of the bead I put in there. So that strengthens it up a bit more yet. And then here. So for the amount of time it takes to do these pieces, just put them in. It just strengthens that a little bit more, because you want that post solid. You don't want that thing flexing all over the place. And once you pull the wood out, that's what it'll do. But pulling the wood out now makes it easier for when you're welding all these pieces in. Up here, like I said, we'll do it when I chop this thing. And then I'll make it so it slides over top. But leaving the wood in when you chop these and try to weld these up, it's kind of a bitch. Because it wants to contaminate your weld, and then it ends up starting on fire, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. If you want to get fancy, you're a carpenter and all that neat stuff, you can cut this, pull them out, do it, cut them. But I don't know. I'm the type, if I'm pulling it out anyways, put steel in there. That's just my personal. But if you're a carpenter, got all the carpentry tools, and that's what you want to do, and that's your thing, go right ahead, freaking do her up. And it's entirely up to you. It's your car. So it's just the way I do it. So I'll get this pulled out and get that welded up. Okay, so we got that all welded together here. Here's the fancy piece right there. So now it just needs to be welded into the car. So that's what we got going on here. Just like that. So now I'll drill. I got to do a little bit of cleanup here on this. Like I said, we got the black marks here. We're going to drill holes to attach all that in. And like you can see here, I've opened those up a bit already. There, so there's one that's not, but there's one that's not at all. That's what the tack holes look like. So get those all welded up so this panel all holds tight, and weld this, and then we should be good to go. Be all solid. So time to drill some holes, do a little cleanup here, and then we'll get that piece in. Okay, so all the holes are all punched in here. The pieces all welded up nice, like I said. These here are all button welded in. So now I just got to button weld all this stuff here all in. And I have to hold this and do the same over this side and weld this all together. So I'll clamp this together all nice and tight and weld down in here, and that'll make this post all solid, and be able to carry on welding pieces in there. So let's just get this all welded up here. Okay, so all the plug welds are all welded up here. So that inner panel's all welded in. I didn't weld that one there up because I'm going to end up, it's rusty in here, so it's got to be fixed. So I didn't weld that up yet. But there it is. There's the internal panel there. All installed. I got that clecoed in. So this here will all end up being fastened to here. This piece here will be fastened to here. So that's going to strengthen up this whole post and fastened all back in there. So there's your inner door post right there. So like I said, this one here is going to get done when I chop the car. I'll do this one. So now I just have, I got to do that side there, and we just keep carrying on here. So that's how you structure. That's how you structure these up. Here, and take the wood out. The biggest problem, like I said, you're going to be welding pieces in there, so you want the steel in here to weld. The wood doesn't like to weld for some unknown reason. I know people, you find it hard to believe, but the old wood welder doesn't work, so you end up having to pull it out anyways. So you might as well just do it ahead of time and then start cleco and tacking everything together. So that's how you do a door post. And then we're going to carry on here with getting the engine put back in this thing so we can work on the floor and get everything sort of clecoed in, then start welding this floor all in, get the structure all in this car. So if you liked this video, you know, comment, like, share, follow, you know, subscribe to the channel, and every subscription helps. And you know, make comments on it. It's a conversation going. If there's different ways you would do stuff, friggin' hit up in the comments. I'm open for suggestions. I'm sure there's easier ways to do things. So everyone have a great day. Get out in your shop, get out wherever, and do something cool. Build something cool. And until next time, everyone have a great, safe day. Talk to you soon. Bye.